So I'm playing a lot of SnowRunner lately. I love it. I probably have 30 hours in this Michigan map currently. Again, I've played a little bit into the other maps. I think I just dabbled in the DLC before I petered out last time. I think I got destroyed, my time got sunk into Final Fantasy XIV, but now I'm back into SnowRunner. And the good news is, I'm playing this Michigan map a lot more effectively this time because I've learned a ton of lessons in my other playthrough that I can apply here. And so as a result, the game's a lot more fun, and I'm seeing things with a fresh lens going through this map after having played some more of the game. And what strikes me as absolutely nutty, again, all in retrospect, is that this Michigan map with 4 regions that again probably takes 40 hours to fully complete, possibly more, is actually just the tutorial for SnowRunner. This whole endeavor, while incredibly fun, beautiful, something you spend dozens of hours on, is wholly designed to teach you the aspects you'll need for the future to be successful in the game. The whole region is set up as the starting zone. I mean, this is truly crazy to me because honestly, for the amount of enjoyment you get out of this, the hours you put into it versus the price you paid, Saber could have gotten away with making this almost a complete game, just Michigan. I mean, if you don't play this map efficiently, which I don't expect most first timers would because you wouldn't know how would you? It could realistically take 50 or 60 hours to 100% this map. I would love to hear from some long timers who've done a couple of playthroughs how long they think their first runs took and then how quickly they get it done in their subsequent runs. And when I say complete, of course, I mean fully scouted, all tasks, all contracts, gold medal all the contests, and clean up every trailer. And if I'm not mistaken, they didn't actually even have logging in the game when it first released. It was added later on. So obviously, logging wouldn't be included in those early numbers. It doesn't count if you didn't finish logging. But like I said, after having played it a couple times, and I think I've restarted this at least 3 times. I know I started it once when I first got the game, didn't quite have the motivation to sit down and commit to it, so I did a few basic tasks and then forgot the game for a bit. And then I came back to it and got really serious. And I think that was my original playthrough that took me all the way through a few regions. And now, of course, this time, I'm hammering it out like a champ. But having seen this and having seen the other aspects of the world, and really only a few other aspects of the world again, I forget which map I was in whenever I stopped. I think it was the second Russia map, possibly. I'm not quite sure. But knowing a small sample of the challenges that wait for me in SnowRunner, and then coming back to Michigan with a slightly more experienced mindset, I realized that practically everything that they have for you to do, from honestly start to finish, is all designed to prepare you for what you're going to encounter as the game opens up. The funny part about this is I thought I knew the game. And when I thought I knew the game, I thought Black River was the tutorial. I thought the setup was Black River was the starting zone, and then Smithville Dam was a bit of an expansion, and then Drummond Island and Island Lake were the tough zones. And I think any SnowRunner veteran would agree these are just the weenie hut juniors of the game. And the real challenge doesn't actually start until probably somewhere in Russia. I bet someone out there will make the case, and who knows, it might be me a month from now, that even Alaska is still part of the tutorial. But no, Black River, where they walk you through, hey, go to this watchtower, find this first truck, get your first resource, complete this first bridge, and hey, look for that upgrade. And now go over to that garage and hey, here's your first truck on the map, which is your first real work truck. In my mind, this was the tutorial, and the rest of the game, as you expand a bit, you realize, wow, Black River is really big, but not really challenging. It's just there to show you a few things. And then Smithville Dam, that's got to be the real challenge. And then Drummond Island, oh man, there's no garage. Island Lake, no garage. And sure, it feels challenging when your scope is incredibly small, but then you look at some of the facets you find here and you realize that everything you do, all the objectives, are designed to teach you all the little quirks and possibilities that are going to matter a whole lot later in the game. And they walk you through these first-time experiences incredibly well. I mean, I give the devs a lot of credit. I don't know if they were planning this full slate of expansions the entire time, but so many things they have you do were designed to make sure you're ready to approach everything in the game with full information. I mean, I believe anybody that plays this game would agree that the first real boss fight of SnowRunner is that patch of mud directly north of the first garage in Black River. Because at that point, you've been able to cruise through pretty much any terrain you've encountered. A little bit slower maybe, but you still get through with no problem. And then when you go for your first task, you pull out, turn right, don't realize how bad it is, and boom, you get your truck stuck about 100 yards from the very first garage. Again, designed so you confront this challenge and learn the knowledge that there are some surprise impassable areas and what they look like, while the consequences are still extremely low. They get you stuck, there's nowhere nearby to winch, you learn, hey, I've got to be a little more careful. They designed a few passes in Black River, and of course the rest of the region in Michigan, to make roads that look very passable, but are actually practically impossible for any truck that you own, and honestly, even challenging for the trucks you can buy. The structure of a lot of these early tasks and contracts to where you finish one and the resources you need for the next are located very nearby, where you just finished, encouraging you to not immediately drive your trucks home or recover, but instead look for the next task and see if you can gain some efficiency by being thoughtful and building out expeditions. They leave fuel trailers and service trailers in areas where it's likely, if you are doing expeditions, if you're pushing forward, the trucks you're driving could be dangerously low on fuel, or at least heading that way, or maybe you took a little bit of damage that you have no way to repair, unless, of course, a service trailer magically appeared. One that sticks out in my mind is that task to repair the truck in the south side of Smithfield Dam, where it's like, repair this truck. Sure, you could drive something from the trailer store or from the garage, but they also left a service trailer suspiciously nearby just for you to drag over. In doing all this, you learn 1, fuel trailers and service trailers are quite useful, and 2, if you're going a long way out of your way, you might want to bring some with you and plan these things out. Truly a big part of Michigan's design is centered around, if you observe at least, showing you what the game is going to be rolling out over the next several regions. And I think it's just impressive how subtle it is. It's something I never once noticed before. I just made my way through. And now that I'm working through everything again with a little more presence in my mind, it's crystal clear, and I am marveling at this design and how sneakily they did this. Again, I've played a lot of games. Let's say Final Fantasy games specifically. They're bad about this lately, where they're so hand-holdy, they're just beating you over the head with your tutorials. SnowRunner gives you about 40 minutes of tutorial, or at least obvious tutorial, leads you to think it's over, and then hundreds of hours later, you realize Michigan, the entire region, was the real tutorial the entire time. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Appreciate you watching while we explore this very sneaky, very fun to play SnowRunner tutorial that lasts for about 40 hours. Those devs, they got us good. I've got a lot more SnowRunner coming, you guys know this, and I feel like I'm finally making my way through this map, and I can't wait to learn again what's waiting for me in Alaska. We appreciate you being here with Mediocre Industries, and on behalf of the entire team, which is just me, we'll see you next time. Have a great one.